There are moments in life when you pause, look around, and wonder why, despite all the effort, all the long days and restless nights, the life you envision still feels just out of reach. You've read the books, attended the seminars, repeated the affirmations, yet the fullness of prosperity seems to hover at the edges of your reality, like a horizon that shifts the moment you move toward it. What if the gap between where you are and where you long to be isn't about working harder or knowing more, but about aligning the silent, invisible currents of your mind and energy? Imagine your mind as a finely tuned transmitter, sending out signals into the vast field of possibility. Joe Dispenza often speaks of the brain as a frequency generator, constantly broadcasting the vibration of your inner state. And Napoleon Hill, decades earlier, described the mastermind as a harmonious blend of intention and belief that magnetizes opportunity. Together, these insights reveal an overlooked truth. Prosperity is not the mechanical result of mere action, but the natural consequence of inner coherence, when thought, emotion, and energy speak the same language. The truth is, most of us aren't blocked by lack of discipline or opportunity. We're blocked by static, conflicting frequencies between what we say we want and what we actually radiate. You can set ambitious goals, yet if your inner field hums with scarcity, your outer world will mirror that dissonance. The missing piece isn't another strategy or productivity hack. It's the subtle but powerful work of aligning your conscious desire with the emotional and energetic signature of already having it. In the minutes ahead, we will explore the unseen roots of your prosperity, those hidden patterns and unspoken beliefs that quietly shape your reality. You'll discover how science and spiritual practice merge to dissolve these inner blocks, and how to step into a state where attracting abundance becomes as natural as breathing. The question is not whether prosperity is possible for you, it's whether you're ready to tune yourself to the frequency where it's already waiting. The invisible block. When the conscious mind wants prosperity, but the energy vibrates scarcity, there is a unique kind of frustration that settles deep within when you can almost touch the life you want, yet it continues to slip through your fingers. It is not the hopelessness of never trying, but the quiet ache of coming close again and again without crossing the threshold. Many live in this liminal space, working harder, pushing forward, telling themselves they are almost there. And yet, underneath the forward motion there is a subtle undertone of doubt, a quiet hum of fear that whispers, "What if it never comes?" That vibration, though often invisible to our conscious mind, is the very frequency that shapes what we draw into our lives. Energy, like an unspoken language, communicates beyond words. Even before action is taken, your electromagnetic field, the unique blend of your thoughts and emotions, sends a signal out into the world. If that signal is woven with scarcity, it will harmonize with scarcity in return. This is not punishment, it is resonance. Just as a radio can only play the station it is tuned to, your reality can only reflect the vibration you hold most consistently. You may declare abundance, but if fear and lack still dominate the emotional tone, the transmission will remain distorted. Neuroscience offers a profound insight here. The brain is wired to prioritize survival above expansion. This means that, left unexamined, old survival patterns, scarcity thinking, hypervigilance, worst-case scenarios, will override even the most inspiring visions. The subconscious, shaped by past experiences and inherited beliefs, keeps broadcasting the familiar, not the desired. Without consciously intervening, you remain on a frequency loop, locked into recreating the same conditions you are trying to escape. The experience can be likened to adjusting a radio dial. Imagine you are trying to tune into a clear, beautiful piece of music, but the dial is just slightly off. You can hear fragments of the melody, but static disrupts the harmony. You lean in, straining to catch every note, but the interference remains. The conscious mind is that desire to hear the music clearly. The subconscious vibration is the dial that must be perfectly aligned. Until both match, clarity will always be out of reach. Many confuse relentless effort with alignment. They believe that pushing harder, taking more action, and doing more will force results into being. But when action is fueled by anxiety, by the urgency of not enough, it often creates more resistance than progress. Instead of drawing opportunities closer, the energy projects a subtle repelling force, because it is acting from fear, not from trust. This is why two people can take the same steps toward a goal. Yet one experiences a natural flow of opportunities, while the other meets roadblock after roadblock. The difference is not just skill or timing, it is energetic alignment. You might notice this in financial decisions or career moves. A person acting from alignment will invest in a project because it feels expansive, rooted in a vision of growth. A person acting from scarcity may make the same investment, but with an undercurrent of desperation or fear of missing out. The action looks the same on the surface, but the vibration behind it tells a completely different story to the world around them. Energy, not just effort, is what others respond to: clients, employers, partners, and even strangers. This awareness invites a new kind of daily practice. Rather than waking up and immediately jumping into tasks, you begin by checking your internal frequency. Before making a decision, before sending that email, before stepping into the meeting, you pause to notice the emotional tone of your energy. Is it grounded in trust or tinted with worry? Is your body relaxed and open or tense and braced for impact? These subtle cues reveal the frequency you are about to broadcast. Adjusting this alignment is less about grand, sweeping changes and more about consistent small shifts. In the same way a musician tunes their instrument before playing, you tune your inner state before acting. This may involve moments of stillness, deep breathing to dissolve tension, or recalling a memory of genuine abundance to re-anchor your emotional tone. Over time, these small adjustments compound, moving your dial closer and closer to the frequency you truly want to inhabit. The truth is that the invisible block is rarely about a lack of resources or opportunity. It is about an unnoticed mismatch between conscious intention and energetic reality. When these two finally match, effort transforms into flow. The static fades, and the life that once seemed always almost there begins to move toward you, not because you chased it harder, but because you became the exact signal it had been waiting to answer. The neurochemistry of prosperity. How your brain may be programmed to avoid success. There is a strange paradox in the human mind. It can long for abundance and, at the same time, unconsciously reject it. This rejection does not come in the form of outright denial, but through subtle patterns, hesitations, distractions, decisions delayed until the opportunity fades away. At first glance, these moments appear to be mere procrastination or lack of clarity, yet they often have deeper roots in the very chemistry of the brain. The cycles of self-sabotage that seem unshakable are frequently sustained by the biological patterns we have not yet learned to notice. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter often associated with pleasure and motivation, plays a central role in how we pursue our goals. But dopamine is not merely about reward, it is about anticipation. It fuels the chase, the thrill of almost there. For someone unconsciously conditioned to equate safety with the familiar, the brain may release dopamine in response to striving rather than arriving. The journey feels stimulating, but the destination triggers unease. This is why some people repeatedly come close to success, only to disrupt their own progress at the final moment. Their neurochemistry is wired to stay in motion, not to rest in achievement. This is not a sign of weakness or lack of discipline. It is the natural byproduct of past conditioning. For those raised in environments where resources felt uncertain, the brain often learns to live in a heightened state of vigilance. Comfort can feel dangerous because it is unfamiliar, and success can feel unsustainable because the nervous system expects it to be taken away. In this way, the very biology meant to protect us ends up keeping us from expanding. The patterns run deeper than thought alone. Habits, those small repeated actions we hardly notice, become the scaffolding of our internal chemistry. If our daily routines are saturated with urgency, stress, and scarcity-driven choices, we continually reinforce the neural circuits that keep us in survival mode. It is like tending to a garden, but never watering it. Day after day, the soil becomes dry, the roots weaken, and no matter how rich the seeds, they cannot fully flourish. Prosperity requires more than planting intentions. It demands the nourishment of supportive habits that regulate and renew the inner environment. It is tempting to believe that thinking positively is enough, but this is only one layer of the process. Without attending to the body's chemistry, the mind's visions may never fully translate into reality. Just as a plant cannot thrive in depleted soil, your visions cannot take root in a system flooded with stress hormones. The brain, when overwhelmed by cortisol, narrows its focus to immediate survival and becomes blind to long-term opportunity. It is not that the path disappears, it is that you are neurologically unable to see it. One of the most overlooked truths about prosperity is that the mind must be trained to receive. Receiving is a state of openness, and openness is impossible when the nervous system is braced for loss. Creating moments of receptivity is not about indulgence. It is about rewiring the body and brain to understand that abundance is safe. This is why celebrating small wins matters, not because they are the ultimate goal, but because they signal to the brain that success can arrive without danger. Over time, these micro-victories accumulate, gently shifting the neurochemical baseline toward trust rather than defense. Consider the difference between waking up and rushing immediately into the day versus beginning with a practice that slows and centers you. In the first scenario, the body is thrust into stress before it can even orient itself. In the second, you create a window for the mind and body to connect, to breathe, to align. This is where intention can enter without being drowned out by the noise of survival. Over time, this shift in the first moments of the day becomes a signal to the brain that life is not an emergency, that it is safe to focus on expansion instead of defense. Reprogramming the brain for prosperity is not an act of force, but of gentle, consistent redirection. Each time you pause before making a choice, each time you savor a moment of gratitude, each time you acknowledge progress without rushing past it, you are reshaping the very chemistry that drives your behavior. And as that chemistry changes, so too does your relationship with success. It no longer feels like something fleeting or fragile, but like a state you can inhabit, because your brain, your body, and your energy have all learned to hold it. The fatal mistake. Trying to manifest wealth without emotional coherence, there is a quiet disappointment that settles in when you have spent weeks, months, or even years practicing visualization, affirmations, and intention setting. Yet the tangible results remain elusive. Many describe it as a subtle betrayal, doing everything the books and teachers recommend, only to watch life continue on much as before. It is in this space of frustration that a critical truth begins to emerge. The mind can hold a vision of abundance, but if the emotional state does not match that vision, the manifestation process becomes fractured. Thought and emotion are meant to be partners in creation. A clear mental image is like the arrow aimed at the target, but emotion is the tension in the bowstring that propels it forward. If the bowstring is slack, the arrow cannot travel far, no matter how precise the aim. In the same way, if your emotional state is misaligned, steeped in worry, resentment, or doubt, your intentions lose the force required to reach their destination. The vision remains beautiful, but suspended, like a picture painted on glass. The heart plays a more significant role in manifestation than most realize. Research on heart-brain coherence shows that when the heart and mind are in sync, the electromagnetic field around the body becomes more organized and powerful. This is not abstract spirituality. It is measurable energy. A coherent emotional state creates a stable signal, one that the body, mind, and external reality can respond to in harmony. Without this coherence, the mind may say, "I am abundant," but the body whispers, "I am afraid," and the mixed signal dilutes the outcome. Consider the experience of someone who spends each morning visualizing wealth, imagining the dream home, the financial freedom, the ability to give generously, yet throughout the day carries a tightness in the chest, a quiet dread of unpaid bills, a background hum of "it will never happen." The conscious mind may be focused on expansion, but the emotional body remains in contraction. The two signals compete, and reality mirrors the stronger of the two, which is often the emotional undercurrent. The work of emotional coherence does not begin with forcing yourself to feel joy or gratitude you do not genuinely experience. That would only deepen the split between what is felt and what is expressed. Instead, it begins with honest acknowledgement, allowing space for the fear, the doubt, the discomfort, without becoming consumed by them. In this way, the emotional body is met with compassion, and the act of meeting it begins to soften its resistance. When emotion feels safe to shift, it naturally moves toward a higher state. Breathing techniques, mindfulness, and gentle self-inquiry are powerful tools here. When you slow the breath and bring attention to the present moment, the body begins to regulate itself. This physiological calm makes it possible for more elevated emotions, gratitude, peace, anticipation, to arise without force. Over time, the nervous system learns that it is safe to hold these states even when external circumstances have not yet changed. This is the bridge to coherence, holding the emotional tone of the reality you desire before it physically arrives. It is a reversal of the usual pattern. Most people wait for the external proof before allowing themselves to feel the desired emotion. They want the financial windfall before feeling secure, the loving relationship before feeling cherished, the business breakthrough before feeling capable. But manifestation, at its essence, is about embodying the state first. Emotional coherence is not pretending. It is practicing the inner alignment until it becomes second nature, until the body and mind agree that the reality you seek is already here in essence. When thought and emotion unite in this way, there is a noticeable shift. Actions feel inspired rather than pressured. Decisions are made from a place of calm clarity rather than urgency. Opportunities seem to emerge with less effort, as though drawn toward the steadiness of your signal. And perhaps most tellingly, the waiting loses its weight, because you are no longer living in the absence of what you want, but in the presence of its unfolding. This is the transformation that many miss when focusing solely on mental intention. The fatal mistake is believing that thought alone creates, when in truth it is the marriage of thought and coherent emotion that shapes reality. When the mind and heart move together, their signal carries farther, faster, and with greater precision than either could manage alone. And in that space of unified energy, wealth ceases to be something you chase. It becomes something that naturally finds its way to you. Becoming a magnetic field, the art of attracting prosperity without chasing it. There is a profound shift that occurs when you stop pursuing prosperity as though it were a distant object to be caught and begin embodying it as a natural extension of who you are. Many live in a constant state of pursuit, chasing money, clients, recognition, opportunities, as though their worth depends on how fast and how far they can run. Yet beneath the surface of this effort lies an exhaustion that slowly erodes the spirit. The truth is that prosperity responds more to resonance than to pursuit, more to alignment than to relentless motion. Physics offers a simple yet powerful metaphor. A magnetic field does not chase the particles it attracts. It simply holds a steady frequency that draws them in. In the same way, when your inner state becomes stable, coherent, and aligned with abundance, opportunities begin to flow toward you without the same strain or force you once believed necessary. This is not passive waiting. It is active cultivation of a vibrational state that communicates on every level: I am ready, I am open, I am already whole. Scientific studies on electromagnetic fields reveal that every human heart and brain generates a measurable field extending beyond the body. This field interacts with the environment, subtly influencing and being influenced by what is around it. When you operate from scarcity, the field contracts. It becomes erratic, signaling stress and resistance. When you embody trust, gratitude, and a sense of sufficiency, the field becomes expansive and coherent, drawing in circumstances that mirror its stability. This is why two people can enter the same room, with the same credentials and the same skills, yet one will naturally attract interest, collaboration, and opportunity. Their energy is broadcasting a different invitation. The process of becoming magnetic begins with a choice to release the belief that everything must be chased or forced into place. It requires a willingness to let go of the compulsive need to control every outcome and to trust that your role is to prepare the inner field, not to micromanage the universe's response. This is not passivity, but precision, directing your attention toward maintaining the internal conditions that support the reception of abundance. One of the most potent ways to cultivate this magnetic state is by shaping the environment you live in, both physically and emotionally. Your surroundings speak to your subconscious every moment of the day. Spaces cluttered with unfinished projects, reminders of past failures, or symbols of scarcity subtly reinforce the vibration you wish to leave behind. Conversely, spaces curated with intention, light, order, beauty, and symbols of your desired reality signal to the mind and body that you are already living within the frequency you seek. Relationships also play a central role. People whose energy is rooted in fear, cynicism, or constant crisis can unconsciously pull your vibration downward, not out of malice, but because their field is resonating at a different frequency. Becoming magnetic often requires a compassionate yet firm boundary around the energy you allow into your life. Surrounding yourself with those who reflect possibility, creativity, and genuine support strengthens your own alignment and amplifies the field you are projecting. Habits, too, become silent architects of your magnetism. When your daily actions are infused with intention, whether through mindful movement, nourishing food, time in stillness, or work that feels purposeful, you begin to create a self-sustaining cycle. The more your actions reflect abundance, the more your nervous system accepts it as your natural state. Over time, the constant hum of not enough fades, replaced by a steady rhythm of trust and receptivity. There is a paradox in this way of living. The less you strain to force prosperity into being, the more naturally it appears. This is because you are no longer signaling desperation or lack. You are signaling readiness and sufficiency. The opportunities, resources, and relationships that align with your field recognize the stability and clarity of your signal and respond accordingly. To become a magnetic field for prosperity is to understand that attraction is not a mysterious gift reserved for a select few. It is the inevitable result of inner alignment. It is about living as though you already are the person who inhabits the life you desire, not someday, but now. In that state, prosperity does not need to be pursued. It arrives as though it had been searching for you all along, guided by the unmistakable clarity of your signal. Prosperity, in its truest form, is not a finish line you cross or a single moment of triumph. It is a state of being that you learn to inhabit day after day. It is not the frantic accumulation of resources, nor the constant chase for recognition, but the steady unfolding of a life aligned with your deepest truth. Every insight shared here points to a single understanding. Abundance is not something you earn through relentless struggle. It is something you allow by tuning your inner world to match the reality you wish to live. We have explored the invisible blocks that arise when your mind speaks the language of prosperity, but your energy hums with scarcity. We have looked at the neurochemical patterns that can keep you circling the same ground, and how small, consistent shifts in your daily state can rewire your brain to receive. We have seen how emotional coherence, the union of thought and feeling, turns your intentions into a powerful, unified signal. And we have understood the art of becoming magnetic, where prosperity flows to you because you have become the frequency it recognizes. This is not theory alone. It is the meeting place of science and spiritual practice, of the measurable and the mystical. Aligning your thoughts, emotions, and energy is not just a method, it is a way of living. It requires awareness, gentleness with yourself, and a commitment to create the conditions both inside and around you that welcome abundance as a constant companion. When you step into this state, the waiting dissolves. You no longer measure your worth by what has or has not arrived, because you know at the deepest level that you are already in possession of the essence of what you desire. And from that place of wholeness, the external world cannot help but rearrange itself to reflect the richness you now hold within. Prosperity is no longer a goal, it is your natural state. Before you step away from this moment, ask yourself, if my inner state became the blueprint for my reality tomorrow, would I be ready to live in the world it creates? If this message has stirred something in you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel so you can continue exploring the art of aligning mind, heart, and energy. And don't stop here. On your screen right now is the next video in this journey, waiting to deepen your understanding and expand your practice. Keep watching and let your transformation unfold.